Recently, Chinese President Xi Jinping is taking drastic moves in China. In the past 2 months, various industries have been under scrutiny. Some industries vanished overnight. Like cracking down in the entertainment industry, antitrust investigation into tech industry, private tutoring industry was banned overnight, and gaming industry was also put on notice, and many more. Some of these were covered in our previous episodes. Xi's action was puzzling for people until last week. In an economic meeting, Xi revealed what he is really trying to achieve. You'll find it out in today's program. Welcome to Beyond the News. I'm Faye. Last week, Xi hosted the 10th meeting of the Central Committee of Finance and Economics in China. The focus of the meeting is to promote common prosperity. The meeting put emphasis on how to handle the Chinese people with different income levels, to increase those low-income people's salary, increase the population of middle-class people, and to encourage high-income people and companies to give back to the society. Furthermore, there are also announcements made from the meeting that reform the wealth redistribution structure. It sounds very blurred and vague in terms of what the officials can do and will do in this wealth redistribution movement. And that is the point. The CCP's way of doing it give enough vague meaning to new policies so that the high-level officials will have more power to interpret how to execute such policies. And at the end of the day, the CCP needs to be the real benefactor of such movement. Otherwise, why bother to start something that is not beneficial for the regime? So how will the wealth redistribution be handled? According to what they said, they will arrange a new 3-level structure on first, secondary, and the third level of wealth distribution. The first level distribution is based on people's income. Then the second level distribution will be done through taxation system. The government will put various taxes on wealthy people and redistributing their wealth to the low-income population. And the third level is the wealthy people will be encouraged to give back to the society through making donations, etc. What is this new thing from the CCP signaling? For the Chinese government, whatever they said, we have to interpret it in the right way to understand what they're actually trying to say. I think through what they said now, at the superficial level, we can sense China's economy is in crisis, and the government has no choice but to take action. However, in order to keep the image of a strong economy, CCP will never admit that. So here comes the excuse to solve the wealth inequality problem in China. But will the wealth redistribution really solve the problem? Before we dive into more details, let's first talk about China's wealth inequality problem. In the past 4 decades, even though China's economy seems to be on the fast lane, the wealth disparity is still a big problem, and it has become bigger. Statistics show that in the year 2020, the pandemic had almost no impact on China's rich and powerful people, but for the average Joes, their salaries have been stagnant or even declined. The Gini coefficient is a standard way to measure income inequality for different countries in the world. According to data from Credit Suisse in 2020, China's Gini coefficient is 0.7 and is one of the world's most unequal societies. Based on the United Nations standard, if the coefficient is higher than 0.6, that means income inequality is a big issue in that country and possibly destabilize the government. To give a comparison, in 2017, America's Gini coefficient is nearly 0.4. Let's use the Chinese government's own stats just for argument's sake. In 2006, the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences issued a report. The report stated that in China, for everyone who has more than $100 million of wealth, there are 86% chances that this is a high-level CCP member or the relatives of a high-level party member. Furthermore, the Chinese official's income is usually 8 to 25 times the average local citizen's income. I think now you can see that China's income inequality is a big problem. And now, will the government use the wealth redistribution to solve the problem? According to the meeting we mentioned earlier, CCP is targeting wealthy people and encouraging them to donate their money to other people who need help. Even though it is said to encourage, it is more like forcing them to donate, redistribute their wealth in order to solve China's wealth inequality problem. That is on the superficial level, like I've mentioned. Because we all know that when the money is in the hands of the CCP's top-level officials, how would they be redistributing it? That would be another issue. It is unlikely that the low-income public would be able to get much money from the movement. I think at the end of the day, it is just a way for the CCP to reshuffling money, hence they can have more central control on money. Some big companies in China have already taken initiatives even before this meeting. Well, she did mention on a few occasions the concept of wealth redistribution casually. Back in April, she was talking about lifting everyone in China out of poverty in 2021. Right at that time, one of China's largest tech companies, Tencent, announced that they will invest 50 billion yuan to help solve China's poverty problem. And the day after Xi's economic meeting on wealth redistribution, Tencent had initiated a new project called Common Prosperity Project and dedicated another 50 billion yuan to that project. Other than Tencent, many big companies in China and their founders have started their charity foundations, such as the founder of Xiaomi. He has donated his shares worth of $2.2 billion for charity purposes. Not sure what your take on this, but I think that this company's action is more like paying ransom money for their safety than doing charity. These people must send some signals from the high-up levels in the party and try to buy their way out of the trouble. Because they know it well that if they don't voluntarily donate the money, there will be consequences for them in the near future. I suspect that more and more CEOs and chairmen in China will suddenly have a lot of interest in charitable causes. Now, would this movement of rich people donating up their money going to solve the inequality problem in China at all? I highly doubt it, because when donation becomes compulsory, that creates more room for corruption, like adding oil to fire. Instead of being distributed to those who need the most, the money collected by the CCP will most likely be in the pocket of those high-rank officials. To use a famous example in China, back in 2011, a person named Guo Meimei started to be popular on Weibo, the Chinese version of Twitter. Guo was a young woman. She was posting pictures of her lavish lifestyle. She drives an expensive Maserati car, she uses Hermes bags, and lives in a beautiful mansion. If it was just these pictures, people would probably assume that she has a sugar daddy or something, but it is her job title that made her trending. That is the general manager for Red Cross Commerce Department in China. And the identity was verified by Weibo. This raised a lot of question marks. Many people started to think maybe their money didn't end up in those who need it the most, but paying for someone else's luxurious lifestyle. Everyone knows that the Red Cross is supposedly a charitable organization. How come a manager of it has so much money? And after that incident, a magazine in China did an online survey. 82% of Chinese netizens say that they will never donate to China's Red Cross again. This is just one small example of many of the scandals of the Chinese charitable organizations. Therefore, encouraging the wealthy individuals to donate their money out is not going to really solve the wealthy inequality problem in China. Even though we know that it can't really solve the problem, the CCP is actually doing this for at least another purpose: creating distraction. Right now, almost every country in the world is starting to realize that the CCP is untrustworthy and it is just evil. So many governments have started to take actions against the regime. China's economy is going downhill. As a result, the Chinese government's money is drying out fast. Therefore, as the average Joe's life is getting harder and harder, by using the slogan redistribution the rich and helping the poor, the government is trying to make people think they are helping the poor in order to gain people's support. This is a regular tactic CCP likes to employ, especially in critical times. Let's hope people really see through the facade and not to be fooled again. To summarize, we can see CCP's method of redistributing wealth is not going to solve the wealth inequality issue in China, but the move actually showcases how egregious the economy in China is. Then why is Xi still pushing this agenda? There are other reasons behind this action. We'll talk about that in our future episodes. Alright, that's all for today. If you like today's program, please like and subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Thank you for watching Beyond the News. I'm Faye. I'll see you again very soon.